Coach, coming off a Sunday doubleheader sweep of the Citadel and Greensboro College, I guess first off, with a little time to separate from that, just how did you think the guys performed on Sunday?
I thought they did an okay job. I thought that our upper weights wrestled real well on Sunday. I thought our lightweights kind of got started a little sluggish. But, at the end of the day, I thought a lot of them battled hard and found ways to win when maybe they didn't have their best performance. And that's important, too. You're not always going to have your best stuff every match. And, I think that, we're going to get everybody's best shot. I mean, I thought the Citadel wrestled us hard. They wrestled well. I'm sure that that's going to be kind of the case for us. Every match we go out in the conference, we're going to get everybody's best shot. And, I think our guys are wrestling better. We're definitely getting better. And, we're just looking to continually improve and score points. And I thought we did that a lot on Sunday. Even the matches that, maybe we didn't look as sharp in, we were still scoring a lot of points. And so I think if we can continue to score points and be offensive, then good things are going to happen for this team.
For the Greensboro duel, was the first time for a lot of those guys to kind of wrestle in that setting. Were you happy as well with just their aggressiveness and how they kind of reacted to being in that setting for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's an experience for our guys the first time that they wrestle as a starter in a dual meet in varsity gym, just because it's different kind of emotions, a different kind of pressure, and just wrestling in front of our crowd is something that takes a little bit to get used to. So honestly, I thought it was a great opportunity for us to put some of our young guys in the lineup, get them that experience wrestling in varsity gym, so hopefully in the years to come, when they're the guy, that it's not as much of a shock to them that first time they start for us. And so it was a great opportunity to put them out there in front of our home crowd, let them get a match in, get a weigh-in here in mid-January, leading into our App Open this weekend. So, and I thought they wrestled well and were aggressive, and we scored a lot of bonus points in that match.
I did want to touch on one match. Tommy Askey fell behind 6-0 and came back and tied it by the end of regulation and got down to overtime. When you have a wrestler that faces some early adversity of that, what's kind of the messaging to know that there's time and ability to make a comeback like that?
Yeah, well, I told Tommy after the match that I felt like that honestly, that was really showed him a lot of what he's capable of. He fell down early. I think at the end of the first period it might have been 7-1. But it was there was a lot of time left, and that's kind of the message we sent to him. Like, hey, you got a lot of time, you can come back, and he didn't have any near falls and still came back, tied it in regulation, won in overtime, and I think that's hard to do, against a Division I wrestler that's got a 6-point lead on you to start the match. I think that takes a strong mental performance to just come back from that kind of deficit, and I think that was something that I think it was scary at the moment, but it might have been a great thing for Tommy, because it showed him, if it ever happens again, that he's been behind before and he's battled back from a huge deficit. So I think mentally it might have been a great thing for him. Obviously we can say that because he came away at the win, but he can draw some confidence from that, I think.
I guess before we look ahead to the App Open, the first set of coaches' rankings came out. You had 4 guys included in that. Can you just maybe educate the audience a little bit of maybe the importance of those and how those are kind of gathered? Because maybe some guys don't appear in them because they haven't appeared in enough matches, and just how that all kind of factors into what eventually will look like in March.
Yeah, so there's three things that determine the automatic qualifiers for each of the participating conferences, the NCAA, and one is the coaches' rankings, which is what you're speaking of. The other is the RPI, which I think it comes out maybe in early February, and then the third is winning percentage. So those 3 things make up a criteria and a formula where they derive how many qualifiers each conference is allotted. Now, the first coaches' rankings are important just because you want to see your guys in there, but it's not until those later coaches' rankings, like the 3rd and 4th, where you put a lot of emphasis on it, because as you mentioned, there's probably in each weight class 4 or 5 guys that don't meet the minimum number of matches yet to be listed in the coaches' rankings. So, I know there's quite a few guys from Penn State and maybe even a few from Iowa and places like that are not even in the coaches' rankings yet. So, you put an asterisk by this first one. It doesn't mean a ton, but you definitely like to see where our guys are at and give them something to build off of. But, it is going to be important that we've got some guys in those rankings toward the end. And I do think we've got the room for a couple more guys to get in there. I think Luke Uliano, I think he's been right there with a lot of guys that are in those rankings and tight matches, and just, he turns a couple of wins around. I think he could be in those rankings here in the next couple months. Same with Chad Bellis. He's wrestled some really top guys tough. And, I think those are 2 guys that I really could see, creeping in those coaches' rankings here in the next couple months.
We've got the Appalachian Open on Saturday in Varsity Gym. I guess can you just provide a look of what kind of competition, what kind of teams will be coming, and just what that'll look like on Saturday?
Well, it looks like quite a few ACC teams are sending a lot of guys, and some of them are sending starters. I saw a couple of starters from Carolina, a couple of starters from NC State. Both teams are sending squads down. Virginia Tech's going to have guys there. I saw they had a starter registered, and then some teams from the Southern Conference. But I look for it to be a pretty decent test for January. I think it'll be between 8 and 10 wrestlers in each weight class, which will be a good opportunity for our guys to get some matches. We will wrestle a couple of our starters that need extra matches. So yeah, we're expecting a good amount of competition on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you just touched on it, but how do you kind of approach it with your own roster, what you're trying to get accomplished, whether it's the starters more matches or just some of the younger guys more mat experience?
Yeah, so obviously all of our young guys that haven't been wrestling, we want them wrestling in the Open because it gives them an opportunity to compete in January at home. But for our starters, I kind of evaluate it by looking at how many contests they've wrestled in, what their winning percentage is, do they need more matches, do they need potentially more Division I wins, do they need more opportunities because maybe they missed a couple of early season tournaments. And so it's a case-by-case basis. We don't wrestle all of our starters, but we definitely will wrestle several this weekend.